Hello, welcome to my podcast. Our soul is very important. We are, what is it, body, soul, and mind or something? Today I want to talk about the soul and how to recognize your soul body. We often speak from the human and we often speak from the soul, and to understand which is really quite powerful for you in your life down here. I suspect that you speak from your soul quite a lot. However, knowing when you're doing that, it actually will help you. I always know when I'm speaking from my soul because it sounds so wise. And I don't think my hero would have said that. It also has a kind of a succinctness to it. When you speak from your soul, you really nutshell everything. You look at the overview and then you say what you think. And we're drawing out our soul memories when we speak from our soul, from our wisdom, from other lives, from other relationships, from other dynamics. We're drawing from what we know, what we've seen happen, particularly down here on Earth. Soul speech is easy to hear in other people too. They will say something and it really resounds with you. It's really to the point, it really hits the mark. When they give a solution, it will be a clear solution. It won't be a big waffle on. I think as humans we waffle and we run around in circles. I do that sometimes, can't work out what I'm doing. But if I go to my soul body and ask it, it will be very clear. The language can also be different. I noticed that when I spoke from the soul, the language, the way I spoke was shorter, more in context to what we were talking about, and just said it all in almost the one sentence or the one answer. Soul speech is interesting. You can hear it when other people speak to you like that. And children often use soul language a lot. You'll hear it because they don't sound like a child. They'll say something to you and it will be so clear that you will just be astounded by what just came out their mouth, and that's their soul talking to you. We can ask that our soul speech is increased by spirit, that we align more with our soul speech. Our human speech will have a lot more emotion in it, I've noticed. I think that's a good way for you to see it. There's much more emotion when we speak as a human. I'm not talking about that the soul doesn't have emotion. The soul speech will have a lot of compassion and love in it, but I'm talking about maybe not such good emotion with the human speech. The human speech will be smarty pants and sarcastic and sometimes bitter and sometimes angry. The soul speech doesn't seem to have any of those qualities to it. It will come from a loving space normally and can be quite compassionate. It'll also be not so irrational. As humans, we can be somewhat irrational in how we speak and what we say, where soul speech is not irrational at all. Ask that you get better at this, because all your relationships will actually improve and you will feel more steady in your life. The more we speak from our soul, the more steady we feel. And it also has a certainty. It just is. You say it and it just is. Whereas with human speech, it's all over the place and it's changeable and it's not always so clear. We're not as clear. I believe that if you are on this channel with me, you have very strong soul energy and you run everything through your soul, particularly down here. You've probably been here many times. You might be even what I would call an old soul. Therefore, using soul speech will be very natural for you. It will feel right. There is also you can always tell with soul speech because there is a delay. The person will sort of think, almost tune in and channel actually from the soul. That's how I work when I do the readings. I don't go through my human. I bring my human in every now and then to make comparison or to make connection, but mostly I'm just speaking from my soul when I do the reading. I'm running it through my soul energy, through my soul body, and using the spirit to connect into my soul. The other thing with soul speech is that it can soothe and comfort people. You can give them a quick solution. You can give them another way to look at it. And it's not judgmental and it's not power. There's no power and control. You just say what you get and then they can do what they like with it. It's a very empowering way to communicate with people. And it lacks the emotional overtones. There's no manipulation in it. And it's just put out there and people do what they like with it. When we speak human to human, it's very easy. We will talk about the curtains or what movie we've watched or a problem we're having with one of our relatives perhaps. When we speak soul to soul, it has a different quality to it. We're actually, I think, speaking more from the third eye as well. That's how I always see it. There's a really strong third eye connection there with the soul to soul. And the subjects will be different. They will be much more high vibration. So we're talking about ideas and visions and problem solving. We're talking about how to ascend ourselves, how to become a better person. So soul speech will actually is vibrating in a different space to human speech. We can go in and out from them, be talking on the soul level, and then be saying, "Hey, do you want to get lunch?" And yeah, I think I'm going to have the spaghetti. I really like that, which is the human thing, and then come straight back in and start talking from the soul about something that's an issue or something that we're both really interested in. You can tell who speaks mostly from the human, mostly by the subjects. Human subjects are about other people, usually, sometimes a little bit whinging and whining about other people and complaining and blaming other people. It can also be about human things like renovating and buying cars and what's happening at work. Soul speech tends to be in a different form. We're speaking about how to fix things almost energetically in relationships and with ourselves, and how to heal situations and how to heal ourselves. We can also be talking about visions and things we're trying to do and projects we're trying to generate. It comes more from that soul body, our soul memories, remembering what we've down here to do, and our service work. You can use both very effectively. I tend to work mostly from my soul, but I still like the human part. I'm very human too. Therefore, it creates balance in my life, and I'm not up in the clouds all the time. I'm also down here being human. The human will sometimes take us over, and that's not always a good thing, especially if it's a negative part of our humanness. However, we are here to learn what it's like to be a human as well. Our soul will leave our body and go somewhere else after we die, and our human body will be left behind. This makes the learning that we get from being a human down here and our interactions, learning our karma, learning our lessons, that we take that with us on our soul body. Try to increase your soul body if you want to do any of the type of work, which is like channeling, healing, Reiki, doing the cards, because that's where we get the information from. We do not get it from a human of this life as Wendy. We can use examples of Wendy's life to say, yes, I remember when I did this, this is why I'm explaining it to you like this. That keeps the humanness there. However, all the information will come through on the soul. That is why the higher we work on vibrating our aura, the easier it is for our soul to access information and then for us to relate. I hope you found this fascinating. I found it fascinating, the two languages we have, the human language and the soul language, and understand which one we're using, and also understand which one other people are using. If you're with people who are using a lot of human language, I suggest you just stay there and use your human language. Sometimes your soul language will accidentally, or I don't know, come through and you'll say something that you know is just a soul comment, and they'll look at you and they'll take it on board on some level. When you're with your soul people, you will use soul language. I very rarely do the human stuff. I do a little bit, but I mostly talk on the soul level, and I really actually find that for me, that's very nourishing. I feel that my soul is nourished when I speak like that, and I actually need to do it. I need to have people around me where I have soul language and soul conversation, because I actually feel it feeds my soul, as they say. No human can be fed by all the other things down here, but getting your soul fed down here, I think, is a lot harder, because most people don't come from the soul, they mostly come from the human. And that will actually help you understand your relationships and why you sometimes feel a little lonely down here on a soul level. Because unless you've got some soul friends, you can feel quite lonely down here. And that's also why I've done these podcasts, because I'm out here and I'm talking to you and I'm a soul person. I'm hoping that these podcasts give you some comfort, that you're not feeling too different and too lonely down here on earth, because the nourishment we get from the soul conversations and our soul friends is something we don't get from our humans. And I know that to be true. Having the balance of each is good. I've got some friends who are mostly human, and then we don't really do the soul thing much. And then I've got friends who are mostly soul, and we actually don't do the human thing much. We actually have to ask these questions, like really human questions, because it doesn't come into the conversation at all. However, I'm sensing that you're probably a soul first person, so see if you can connect more to soul people, maybe joining yoga or any healing groups, or maybe having more Reiki, or being with people who are more like that. You'll feel more nourished, because at the end of the day, energetically, it's really nourishing to do either. The human people will be nourished by the human stuff, and the soul first people will be nourished by the soul stuff. It's just interesting for you to understand. Okay, I'm sending you lots of love and light, and I hope you have a nice soul week.